We have yet another stormy day as we've been tracking this powerful upper level low that's been kind of hanging out into the Four Corners region, sending pulses of energy out ahead of it. That's what brought the severe storms along with a cool front for the last 2 days. But now that's finally going to be on the move, and it's going to be moving eastbound. It's going to be moving across Texas later this morning into the early afternoon, as well as into Oklahoma, and that is going to set the stage for a renewed threat of additional showers and thunderstorms that will likely turn severe, if not tornadic, with some larger hail producers in the daytime hours today. And those will likely start to move out as we get towards dark later on tonight. So if we take a look at the setup this morning on the hazard map, it's already kind of getting going out there in West Texas. This cool front that's been kind of stalled around Oklahoma, that's been sending all the heavier rains and the flooding rains and the storms for them, is now going to be slowly shifting south along with this dry line. So all this is going to kind of congeal together later on this morning into the afternoon time frame into Oklahoma, as well as into the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And that's when the elevated enhanced risk is going to be into play, with a tornado driven enhanced risk as well. So there is your latest update from the Storm Prediction Center. They did, in fact, upgrade this to an enhanced risk that does include most all of North Texas. So we've got the storms going on this morning across West Texas. Those will be shifting eastbound later this morning. And as they do, they'll be picking up steam and likely to intensify as this cool front will start to shift a little bit further south. So things start to really kind of escalate, definitely after we get past the 10 o'clock time frame. We'll actually be doing live coverage on this channel, keeping you well ahead of the storm. There is your overall tornado driven enhanced risk and the upgraded 10% hatched risk. So we are seeing those strong to severe thunderstorms this morning in West Texas, and those will be moving eastbound, likely intensifying as we get towards that 10 o'clock time frame, and then really kind of amplifying going into the noon through 5 o'clock time frame through North Texas. That's when you have your greatest severe threat. Larger hail producers and some tornadic supercells is definitely not out of the question, and some of these could be in the form of a strong tornado or two of an EF2 type variety into southeastern Oklahoma, getting into Arkansas as well. And those will be shifting southeastbound as we get deeper into the afternoon and later into the evening. But also flash flooding is going to be a huge concern with kind of the slower moving nature of these storms. We saw a lot of flooding yesterday and heavier rainfall across Oklahoma. That's going to be shifting a little bit further south today. It does include most of North Texas, if not all of North Texas, and portions of southeastern Oklahoma, Arkansas. But yes, you can get anywhere from 1 to 3 inches likely in this yellow shaded area, probably up to 2 to 4 inches in most of this red shaded area, with very heavy rain as it shifts further south. So it kind of gives you an idea of the radar depiction about noon time frame. You can definitely see these supercell thunderstorms will likely be some larger hail producers, with these nasty renegades out ahead of this squall line that looks to be forming this complex of storms. You can always get a sped up tornado along the leading edge of these storms, and as it starts to bow out, you could get definitely some stronger wind gust and some larger hail out ahead of the main line. And then of course you got the rain, heavy rain on the back side of the system that's all going to be pushing through. So this kind of gives you a snapshot of what the radar may look like around noon time frame. And this is around 3 o'clock as this will be shifting across the DFW Metroplex. This is obviously when everybody's going to be at work. This is when people are going to be at school, kind of school's letting out by then. So definitely going to be a high impact day. So keep your watches and warnings in place, and in multiple ways to get warnings, because these are going to be coming in fast and furious and producing, and things go down pretty quickly, as we definitely get into later this morning. And then going into the, say, 7 o'clock time frame, that is going to be continuing to shift a little bit further to the southeast. So it's likely going to be in northeast Texas by then, Texarkana, the Tyler region, maybe just south of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, south of the I-20, I-30 corridor, but then moving into central Texas with their own severe threat as well, larger hail threat, isolated tornado or two. Maybe the good thing, if there's anything good that might come out of this, is this: if this actually can kind of congeals into more of a solid squall line, there may not be a second batch forming after dark. So there are some hints of some models actually kind of hinting at a second batch coming in after dark. But this may be enough to kind of stabilize the atmosphere, where if that second batch does likely start to form, it may look to weaken as it tries to approach that atmosphere again into the evening time frame. But the first one is definitely going to be bumpy for sure, because looking at some of the helicity tracks, this whole atmosphere is going to be rotating with rotating thunderstorms. That definitely includes potential tornadoes, if not a strong tornado, with the latest maximum updraft helicity tracks. Those are coming out of West Texas this morning, shifting across southeastern Oklahoma, shifting across North Texas, those going to northeast Texas, and then after you get to the 6-8 o'clock time frame, shift into central Texas down there, and also have their own renewed tornado risk as well. And wind, right? So this is going to be outside of the thunderstorms. We saw numerous high winds yesterday. I think there was plenty of 90 mile per hour wind reports in Missouri. There was even a 77 up there into New York. There's 106 down there in Texas and Seymour, Texas. So these storms are definitely going to be packing a punch. This is winds just like outside of the thunderstorms. But whenever one of these turns severe, we're going to probably get some destructive, severe thunderstorm warnings today of those 80 mile per hour winds potential with these storms, and going to be probably some 2-inch, maybe even higher hail coming out of this atmosphere. So, and then of course all the heavy rain. So that's why we do have the flood watches in place for a good part of Oklahoma, as well as into North Texas, at least on the northern side, where that cool front will be slowly shifting southbound. Multiple inches of rain, if not some isolated amounts of 6 inches, is definitely not out of the question. Likely towards the Red River, southeastern Oklahoma, towards the Red River areas, likely has the most capability of seeing some of those 6-inch amounts later on today after this is all kind of said and done. But then all this kind of congeals and moves southeast along the cool front, right? So now it's going to be more or less in southeast Texas, going to be in Arkansas, Louisiana, now into Mississippi. Not as intense likely as what we're going to be likely seeing today, but still some strong to severe thunderstorms along this line into Tennessee and Kentucky, going all the way up into Ohio again. So definitely be on the lookout for Thursday across that atmosphere. And the overall setup on the surface map kind of looks like this, right? You got a kind of a wet atmosphere, right? The middle part of the country continues to be on the wetter side across the southern plains, the central plains, and this moves across into the Tennessee Valley to the Ohio Valley. And that will be during the day on Thursday. But then once we go into Friday, it just kind of reloads again, right? We have another little short wave that comes down from the northwest flow, and then it hooks up with this boundary system. These outflow boundaries that are left behind from the storms before will kick off new storms later into Friday. So we'll likely get a renewed threat, even some upgraded severe risk areas into Texas. And then some heavier rains shift again into Kentucky, those areas into Ohio, back into West Virginia. Be on the lookout on Friday. There is the latest update from the Storm Prediction Center. This will likely be upgraded tomorrow to a slight, as we've got the short wave coming down from the northwest flow, combining with the cool front and combining with those outflow boundaries, could ignite this atmosphere again across West Texas into North Texas, likely coming into a daytime event again, moving through, likely again not as intense as what we're going to be seeing today, but nonetheless more storms going to be on the way for Friday. And again, that shifts further south on Saturday. Now it's going to be across South Texas, southeastern portions of the U.S., back in through West Virginia, those areas across Pennsylvania, up into New York. Be on the lookout. This will be during the day on Saturday. So you definitely see it's an active time, right? May is like your wettest month. So you're always going to get a lot of activity. And what's going to happen as we head into next week. So the first week of May, we're not seeing like these death ridges or anything like that. I mean, there's a lot of water out there, a lot of cloud cover, a lot of rain. Obviously, that's keeping the cooler temperatures in play. But we also have an active subtropical jet stream. And if anything, the warmer anomalies are going to be pulled well north. I mean, we're talking Canada, most of Montana, the Dakotas. This actually shifts a little bit further east as we get into the middle of next week across the areas of Minnesota. That will be getting those most higher anomalies, as what's going to happen as the subtropical jet stream is going to come alive and well again. This is almost looking like a little mini El Nino type setup coming into play. We have transitioned into an Enso neutral setup, so we are waking up that subtropical jet stream. We've already seen that. We're going to be seeing it alive and well as we head into the next week, as the ridge kind of builds over the top across the northern tier, allows these troughs to come underneath and allows these low pressure centers, these upper level lows, these parent lows, going to be sitting across the Four Corners region, keeping these anomalies down for the Southwest region, bringing some rain showers for them, but also activating the Gulf with the south wind and pulling that moisture coming in from the south. And that will set the stage for more rounds of heavy rain, lift likely some flooding rain. So I'm expecting flood watches in place for the middle of next week across a good part of Texas and Oklahoma. Again, Kansas will likely be in the action as we kind of hit a dry slide across the Ohio Valley back to the, this area around here, the Four Corners region, eastern areas of Colorado. Those areas will likely be the bullseye for heavy rain, and at times those will likely turn severe. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch the next update where I protect you before and after the storm.